Hello, everybody. Give me 1 second. Hope everyone's had a good few days. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's not the play, Chief. Oh, how we doing? Oh, we're back. Hello. Welcome in, Ben. Good to see you liking. A doll was recently found dead in a rice paddy. It's the only known instance of a knick-knack paddywhack. Nice. Oh. I used to be a banker, but I lost interest. The first one I do like Whose Lines It Anyways version better, but still funny. Guys, I used to watch that show a lot. Whose Lines It Anyway? So good. So good. Very good show. But yeah, we're back. We're more God of War Ragnarok. Back to continue where we left off. I think we're going back to the house after going to Alfheim. I think. So we're gonna we're consolidating what's happening. So yeah, let's put the camera out first. Here we go. There you go, that's better. There we go, that's better. Alrighty, so I'm wearing my Cash Banuka shirt, courtesy of Mr. Kadikarus himself. You can find it on his merch store. Lovely guy. I love his YouTube stuff and his streams. They're great. They're great fun. He's a bit mad, but I love him. He's just hilarious. And he's a massive Crash Bandicoot fan, so definitely go check him out. So yeah, we did Alfheim. We rescued a beast, not mistaken, and then so we got We could go to Niflheim. I think so. I'm guessing we go there once you get all the ravens, maybe? I don't know. But it's Alfheim. Then you got Svartalheim. Svartalfheim. I think we got everything there though, so that's fine. So let's go to Sindri's house. And continue the main story.
Well, I hope Tyr's had enough time to find his equilibrium, or whatever.
Indeed. I saw flashes of the old god of war in him, but they were fleeting.
There is nothing wrong with opposing war, nor opposing prophecy.
I suppose that's fair. Never can be quite sure what the Giants meant by any of it.
Hi, Jax. How you doing, buddy?
I'm the only one that remembers they predicted our entire journey to Jotunheim. If the Giants saw Tyr leading armies at Ragnarok, then I believe them.
The question is how you'll ever make Tyr believe it.
Exactly. Because he doesn't believe it. You're doing great? No. Good stuff. Good to hear.
Master Kratos, I would speak with you.
Oh yeah, Ratatoska. Hey, bud.
Speak.
If you are ever in need of my services and I am not present, I have installed these handy chimes for you to notify me. Simply throw your axe and strike the chimes, and I will attend to your needs. Would you care to take a practice throw?
Like that.
Magnificent throw, Master Kratos. Truly a seasoned pro. Very well. You know how to reach me now. Anyhow,
I have a question.
Was splendid. I delight in offering my tutelage to the inquisitive.
Over the ledge, by the gateway over there. I noticed these dragons.
Dragons? Oh no, young Master Atreus. Those are lean worms, the brood of Nidhogg.
Nidhogg?
That's the mother?
Nidhogg.
She's also a vital piece of the Yggdrasilian circle of life.
Which is a real reference to
I
14.
tend the branches up here, while Nidhogg chews the
Or
roots
Nidhogg.
below to prevent overgrowth. A delicate
I say
balance.
Nidhogg. It's
they're
easy to
friendly?
say.
Well, they're not nearly so affable as myself, but there's no reason to expect hostility so long as they're left in peace. Nidhogg is a stern matron,
Nidhogg.
as protective of her offspring as she is determined to teach them proper discipline.
That sounds...
Familiar.
Yeah. Thank you for the redeem. Thanks for that, Jax. Until we meet again.
Not understand when a conversation is over.
Okay. I guess I just go back to the house. Bye. Thank you for the daily crash reward. Getting that crystal.
Glad to see you back, young one. Come help me, won't you?
Oh, sure.
We can eat whenever you like, Kratos. The stew will only improve with time.
Well, I don't need to upgrade anything right now because I did that before the end of last. I did at the end of our last stream, so I think we're good.
Nothing seems to settle my mind quite like cooking. Being locked up for so long, you forget how much joy lives in the little things.
Atreus, eat.
Yes. Eat. Boy. Going to be a busy weekend. Oh, how so? How so?
Oh, careful, careful. Thank you. Enjoy. Enjoy, my friends.
Yeah. We'll see about that.
Watch that. It's going to taste fucking amazing.
Here you are. A meal fit for a
Oh, it's
champion.
money in the bank.
I said we would speak no more of that.
Yes, of course. Didn't mean to offend.
Oh yeah, money in the bank and
I'm not
next thing
offended.
with.
It's just a word.
The word that clouds your judgment.
So, you really don't think it means anything? After the journey Mom sent us on? Everything we saw in Jotunheim? What was it all for? Don't you ever think about that?
Every day. But I cannot believe her purpose was to inspire you to take foolish risks.
But what if the giants are counting on me?
What giants? I'm counting on you. To be safe. To be smart.
But-
Use the judgment of a man and not of a child.
But what if Loki going to Ironwood is the only way that...
Atreus. My son. And nothing more. Do you hear me?
I'm not hungry anymore.
Forgive me, Kratos. My words were chosen carelessly.
You gonna get angry.
You really should eat.
Sindri's
Some
like,
people swear by it on almost a daily basis.
I just don't understand. Why is there all this stuff about Loki and the champion and Ironwood if none of it's real? He's just so... Ugh!
I didn't see what he hit on the barrel, but I'm guessing it's a knife of some sort.
Mind if I give you the best advice you've heard all day? And possibly ever? Sleep. That's when all the troubles of your mind work themselves out.
Sure. Fine. Sleep? Sounds great.
I mean it.
I do too. Get out of here already.
Already gone.
He's not gonna sleep, is he? 'Cause he's a child and he's gonna do something and... What's that? 'Cause he picked that up in the temple, didn't he? Or just outside the temple. I can't remember.
Ironwood.
Oh, he's dreaming. He's dreaming. See, the background's changed.
Loki.
This now it's Atreus' turn to have visions and dreams.
Let her.
I wish I'd known I was a god in Alphon. I wouldn't have felt so bad about killing so many elves.
What's going on? Was that a mask?
I mean, just knowing we're gods makes me feel so much stronger.
Where am I?
It's all you ever talk about, over and over. Do something about it or shut up already.
Little people's little
We're
problems.
sick of hearing about little people's little problems.
Memories. And not nice ones.
Ooh.
The gate! That was our only way to Jotunheim!
What do you want?
Let's go! Druma!
I don't understand.
Whatever. 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 Whatever.
Whatever, whatever, whatever.
Hey, don't run off.
Whatever.
Can you tell me where I am?
Whatever. 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 Whatever.
Will you stop?
This is fine. Right? It's
Gotta
fine.
get out of here.
You do indeed, buddy. You do indeed.
Okay.
He should pay for what he said about Mother. But we're gods. We can do whatever
This.
we want.
Please. Please wait. Please.
Wait, he actually got stabbed? Oh, shit. Huh?
Why is this happening?
This is a much better knife than Mother's.
Please stop.
Oh, when did wait, when did he do that? Was that when it was Magni and Modi? No, it was before that, I think. It was Magni and Modi, yeah. Yeah, because that's when, like, Kratos actually told him
Where am I?
Thor's sons, yeah. Yeah, it's when you find Thor's sons. Oh, hello. That's a big wolf. It's not a big
Hey,
wolf, but it's fine.
where you going?
Oh,
Follow you? Okay. Guess I'll see you around the other side.
must we follow the dog? Why wouldn't we follow the dog? The wolf, in this case.
Where am I? Can you understand me?
Look, there's another one.
Oh,
Hello.
hi there.
Hello.
So,
There's that.
where are we going? Got it.
Another one. 3.
I was having the weirdest dream and just kind of woke up here. Is this Ironwood? Any idea how I got here? I dreamt my way here? I mean, suppose I must have. I'm here.
Wait, so he's not in a dream now? Yeah, how the I know he's a giant and whatnot, and the son of a son of the god of war, in Greek.
What's scent? Oh,
But like,
that might be Fenrir you're smelling.
that's kind of
Sorry, nice to
wild.
meet you.
That's kind of wild. Got some powers, isn't he?
There's a lot of you, huh? What's that smell? The air here, I don't know. Sweeter? Maybe it's these trees.
Maybe. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm just gonna like.
You tell me if you were gonna eat me.
He's like, maybe.
That's a joke, right?
He's like,
I've never seen a forest like this before.
it feels like I get killed in 2 hits in Valorant, but it feels like everyone else takes a lot more hits.
Through here?
They're probably hitting headshots. That's probably what's happening. I've noticed that. Like, and if you're firing a gun, the weapons, the recoil, it like really affects the weapon spread. You gotta be really careful. Your recoil. That's just me guessing, though. Oh. That's Atreus.
I'm not finished with it yet.
Oh, is this who I think it is? Yes, it is. Okay. It's her.
The paint is made from the bark of the ironwood trees. They absorb the memories of the forest so that the paint remembers too. Memories of the past,
Future.
of the future.
Still got his knife out. Hi.
To get blood on it. Oh, it's really you.
You know who I am?
He's like, mm-hmm.
What's wrong?
I've been waiting my whole life for this moment.
I've been meaning to tell you about
You
this
look
feeling no
Weirder than I imagined.
Oh,
Sorry. Was that mean?
Oh, bless her.
kind of.
Damn it. I'm already messing this up. It's just you're the first person that I've talked to in a very long time.
She reminds me of
Thanks.
la 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 la. Oh, The Valkyrie Queen
Let's start.
in the Thor films. I can't remember her name.
I'm Angerboda.
Good Boda.
You must have a lot of questions.
Yeah. Where
Follow
are
me.
we?
You'll get your answers soon enough.
She was called Valkyrie. Ah, there you go.
Well, some of them.
Yeah, she reminds me of Valkyrie.
When you said you knew me,
Like I said, you'll get your answers soon enough, Loki.
right?
Is that not your name?
No, it is my name. I'm Loki.
Tola.
Oh shit.
Oh,
So Trace is like, yeah, I am Loki. Oh, wait, I haven't used. Oh, I like new stuff. Nice. Tracer gains additional 5,000 for additional runic. Okay, because so because I've hit this story spot, I'm guessing I have extra things. Cool.
This way.
I'll take my own path. So where am I exactly? I was in this weird fog.
Oh, I've heard the Utengard can be disorienting. Still, you're safe here in the Ironwood.
Oh, so we're in Ironwood. So we're in the place that we're meant to be.
So I thought Ironwood wasn't a real place.
Clever, right? Odin won't go searching for the Forest of the Giants if he doesn't think it exists.
The Forest of the Giants.
That's what some people call it. Called it.
Ah, so it's been shrouded or hidden away. Okay.
What's that?
A brooch.
It's big.
Compared to?
I thought giants weren't all supposed to be giant.
I mean, it's got a point.
So, what do you do here?
Paint, forage, survive, preserve what I can.
But why wait for me?
Because my destiny is to tell you yours.
Oh, so she's like a.
Watch out!
She's like a. Sort of like a fortune teller of sorts, then. Angerboda. I wonder if she's like an actual like god of like like the god of like future fortune, like god of fortune telling or something. It's cool though. I like her like how she like throws paint at people, like smoke at people to kick ass. I think games like that.
I don't think I've ever seen someone fight a Draugr that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, what were you doing before you came here?
Surviving Fimbulwinter. Wait, is that a thing around here? Did you know about it?
I did.
Yeah, so I've when I watched people play it, I saw that she was in the game with him, with Atreus. And that Kratos has another partner. I believe it's Freya. That like he basically like it's like two sets of two almost.
Is that chainmail? I wonder what Brock and Sindri would think.
Who?
Oh, they're kind of like uncles.
Kind of? You Midgard giants are strange.
They're dwarves, actually.
Still strange.
That's strange.
Can't believe there are nightmares here too.
Still very, very strange. Anything else I missed? Again, I will say this game is very, very pretty. Very, very pretty. Nice. Ooh, what's that? Ooh, a lore scroll. Whatever that means.
You like breaking stuff?
I do.
Just something my father. You know what? Never mind.
Nice. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah. Get out of. Yeah, I do like Atreus is like basically like a archer for the most part. Like he is Hawkeye.
Wait, what?
It looks like you're going the right way.
Oh, yeah, totally.
They're like, yeah, I've gone the right way. Totally. Don't know what you're talking about. Whenever they just met and she's like, oh my god, have I made it awkward already? And like, kinda, yeah. I do like Angerboda. Angerboda's, she's cool.
How are you doing?
I'm great. I met another living giant. Maybe one who holds my destiny.
What?
Sorry. I'm just really excited to talk to you.
Right. You tell yourself that, buddy. Ooh, a rampaging ibex. I mean, yeah, I'll have a runic summon. Why not? Why not? Getting more and more things every day.
Everything's okay, right? Yeah, I'm just in a magical force that shouldn't exist. Talking to another giant and she's... yeah.
She rocked your world, huh, Atreus? They're definitely getting together.
Whoa!
Gotcha.
Thanks. Guess I'm still getting the hang of things here. Where are we going?
My
Right.
mother recorded her visions, or prophecies. Thought you might like to see them.
Where are your parents?
They're not around.
Are they...
Hey, I know you have a lot of questions, but not this one. Okay?
Yeah,
Sorry.
probably not a good idea to bring up family matters, Atreus, especially as someone who you've just met. Not ideal. But you know, he's young. He learns.
Loki!
Oh, shit.
I've got it. Tell me when. Let go!
That's sick, actually. Beong. Oh, look, she's got a bird. I'll shoot the purple dust down there. Oh yeah, like.
I got your back!
Got your back. Whoa. Let's fucking go. Why did Atreus does more damage than Kratos?
Can't you guys just leave? Quite well. Like a champion, even.
Thanks. You too.
He said the word champion. That's gonna go straight to his head, isn't it? God damn it.
Help me with this?
Oh, sure.
Look at that. Two giants.
Hang on. Okay, now you.
That's close. Nice.
Whoa.
Oh, that's a. I
That's Evie's medallion.
was gonna say that's either a shield or something.
What?
Go!
Okay.
Oh, I guess I'm racing. Wee.
I can slow down.
Please don't. You'll embarrass me. Hey.
Whoa!
First one off the medallion wins.
You beat me.
I mean, when you say it like that, yes, but I mean, it's fine.
I've seen these before.
Well, then you should know how to beat them.
Old square to summon Angerboda Spirit Falcon, unleashing powerful giant magic.
It's usually not so lively around here.
Guess I'm just lucky.
Nah, you're just Loki.
You know what? I'll give her that. I'll give her that. That was good. Probably the best thing. That's probably the best thing in the game so far. Christ. I guess I was just lucky, and he's like, no, you're just Loki. It's like cringe, but hilarious.
We're almost to my mom's shrines, where she chronicled Groa's visions. It was her way of ensuring the legacy of our people would live on, despite the Aesir's best efforts.
Oh. Okay. It's not her visions, it's her mother's visions. You just pre-ordered the new Mario Party? Oh, is it Jamboree? Whatever it's called? Oh, nice. Nice looking. I'm not sure if I'll get it. I probably will at some point, but why can't I move? There you go. Oh,
Isn't that Vanya magic?
Where do you think they learned it from? Here we are.
Do you live here?
Mm-hmm. This way.
Angerboda's
Is this my shrine?
treehouse.
I've been wanting to see it again.
For many giants, there is beauty in learning your path and walking it. Ready? Of course.
Yeah.
Others see the future
I'm
and
ready.
get messed up by it.
Yeah, it looked like it was a mixture of old Mario Party minigames and maps and like new ones, if I'm not mistaken.
Where we scattered Mother's ashes. It was on the wall. Everything had happened already. Just the way it said. But this part was damaged. Oh, that's us. It's in the bag. Huh. Wonder who he is. Wait.
Oh shit.
No. No.
Oh, he's seen his father die.
It's not right. That can't be what happened.
And then he turns and he becomes Odin. He helps Odin.
No. This isn't real. Ironwood's not real. Ungar's not real. None of this is real. Ah!
Hey, hey! Whoa, you're okay. You're okay. It's all alright. It'll be okay.
Now he's a wolf.
Look at me. Hey, calm down. Calm down. It's fine. Just breathe. Hey, breathe. Good. That's good. See, it's okay. Let go. Come on back. It's okay. You're fine.
You can just so when he gets angry, he turns into an animal. Basically.
Sorry. I don't know what happened.
Oh, don't worry about it. It happens to everyone.
That happens to everyone?
Not the wolf part, but getting scared about your future.
That cannot be my future. It says I serve Odin and my father dies. There's just no way.
Look, this is the only way things turn out. The sooner you accept that, the better.
Oh, shit. That was mean too. Look. Just forget about that now. Forget the future. Forget Loki. You're a giant. And You're clearly coming into some powers that you don't understand yet.
Well, nice, 17 kills. Good, good. Nice, nice tracks.
Come on, let's take a walk. You can help me with something, and I'll teach you. You know, giant stuff.
Just looks angry now all the time. Like even more angry than he did in the 2018 game. Like, yeah. That was faded. Because I think Kratos saw it, or maybe kind of just like hid it, and then but yeah, he did because Atreus didn't see that part. I find funny because their tagline about it is this their biggest Mario Party game yet. Well, of course it's the biggest game if they had previous mini games. Exactly. If they add old stuff, then yeah, 100%.
What's this?
Here, follow me.
Where are we going?
We're gonna get some food, plant some seeds, my everyday stuff. But first, I want you to meet someone. Loki, meet Yala.
Oh, that's actually kind of cute.
Nice to meet you.
Cool.
Oh, wow. She's a big girl, huh?
That's a big old. Was it like a bison or something?
Good girl.
Yala.
Ganga.
It's a yak. Sorry. Yak.
So, I guess you know about the whole champion of the...
Jotnar? Yeah. Do you want me to call you that instead?
No, Loki's good.
Sure. Champ.
Champ. Champ.
So, where did you say we were going?
We need to collect some fruit. If we follow the river, we should find some.
Vimur River.
Those flowers over there.
Silence.
Okay.
No, that's what they're called. They only grow in Jotunheim. My mother and I used to take naps in them when my grandma and her fought. It was one of the only places she found peace.
Whoa. That's Petey Piranha. Gone wrong.
Aha! Here's one. Let's grab it.
Who's it for?
Wolves gotta eat, don't they?
Never seen fruit like this before.
They're called green bulbs. My mother made me eat one every day. For strength, they taste terrible.
Seems like they work, though.
Hey, look at him with his compliments. Ah, that a boy, Atreus. That a boy.
Excuse me?
It sounds like she likes you.
Yeah, sure.
Could you grab that one?
Got it. Those wolves. You take care of them?
I do. They're good friends.
Can't wait to meet more of them. How many more of these fruits do you need?
You in a hurry to leave?
No, I just gotta save my father's life now, apparently.
Loki, we have time.
I see some fruit up there.
Then we should be up there too.
Ooh. Yeah, so we're going to be here for a bit, and then I'm
Wait,
guessing we come back.
Here they are.
Let me help.
Thanks.
She's like, hunk, sits on it. Got a set of lungs in her. Fair play.
After you. Listen, I know we're out here having fun and all, but maybe we should talk about what you saw in the mural.
What I saw would never happen. I wouldn't join Odin if it cost me my father.
If I learned anything from my mother, it was that these things have a way of coming true.
How do I get
one way
that?
or another.
I learned from my father too. Close your heart to it. But I can't. Not for this.
Yeah, Kratos has basically told him to not listen to superstitions and prophecies. Because half the time they're never true, but in this case they probably are. For the most part. Look, it's the yak in here. Oh, that's cute.
Can't reach it.
Now you can. Wink. I'm guessing the water and stuff is quite
You know,
poisonous or something.
I may have thought about going to Asgard, but I'd never do it.
Yeah?
My father wasn't helping me figure out my destiny. When Odin and I were alone, he offered to teach me.
If you were alone with Odin, he could have easily killed you.
I mean, not that easily.
I mean, you'd be surprised. It's Odin. Like, Odin can just do what the fuck he wants.
Let's head up to that ledge.
I don't think Atreus understands the true gravity of Odin's power. I
We
don't
don't
think.
need it,
But hey.
but we can grab it anyway.
How do you know when it's right?
My parents taught me. It's a delicate guessing game.
So you can't be sure of everything that's gonna happen then?
I'm sure of the big stuff.
Show the big stuff for you. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge.
Oh, Yala can't get under that log. That's it. Come on, girl.
Oh.
Getting these ingredients, feeding your animals. You do this every day?
If I don't, they'll die.
Just seems like a lot for someone your age.
Our age.
Right.
One of the last conversations I had with my father, he said he was sorry he couldn't protect me. That I'd have to grow up so fast.
At least you got an apology.
Dads have a way with words, huh?
Well, I mean, to be fair, Atreus, your father hasn't left you yet. So, that's the... I mean... I wonder how we're going to reconvene then with Kratos, if we're in Jotunheim.
You know, maybe Odin needs you for something.
Or maybe it's not what it looks like. Maybe I'm tricking Odin.
Oh, is trickery something you're good at?
I lied to my dad a couple times.
Oh, a master of deception. Yeah.
I mean, Loki is one for trickery. He's one for trickery and deception.
If I need to, like, fix my bow or something, can I?
Of course. I've got supplies in my tool chest over there. By the way, I left something in the tool chest for you. I'll meet you over by Yala when you want to leave.
Is it okay to hang out around here?
As long as you want.
An armor crafted by prophecy and presented to the one who will be champion of their people. I mean, yes, I'll take that armor. Jotnar bow. Warrior's instinct 1. Increased stats damage from runic arrows.
Nice.
What's a recipe? Oh, I can make it because I need 1 timber. I need 4 timber then. Sonic attunement. Sonic arrows deal increased status. Craft that, I suppose. Melee attacks against enemies afflicted with Sonic deal significant increased stun. Enemies killed from a runic arrow explode, dealing massive damage around them. The first arrow. Yeah. Armor. Yeah, I'll make him wear it. Why not? He looks cool on it looks cooler on the other one, to be honest. Not gonna lie. Luckily, it doesn't change. Like that outfit looks better than that outfit because it's got it's got the metal all around it and stuff. So I think I'll stick with that one actually. But yeah, and the bow's cool at least.
Hey, what's this one?
I painted that one with grandmother. Wasn't as good back then.
And Gabota, earlier you said the Udengard can be disorienting. But what is it?
You know Amir?
The first of our people. He died a long time ago, right? Odin killed him.
Yes. Odin destroyed everything that remained of him, save for one thing. His dreams. Odin couldn't touch those if he tried. And they are ours.
Is that another one of your paintings? It's pretty good.
Nah, not my best. I could do better.
Well, I like it.
Yeah. Guess we follow her now to where we need to go.
What's next?
Well, now's when I usually harvest the Vis roots I mix with them. I mean, unless you still want to leave.
No, I can stay. I want to stay.
No.
You know, I paint too. Well, I draw.
What do you draw?
All kinds of things. Monsters, artifacts, anything Father and I encounter on our journeys.
Oh,
didn't
is
know
your
that.
father an artist too?
No.
He is not the creative
There are
type.
some roots up this
Well,
way.
he's creative in how he dismembers someone's head, but that's probably about it.
Easy, girl. You've got this.
Do you have any animals that could maybe, go faster? No offense, Yala.
Of course I do. They just can't carry both of us. This is much easier.
Got it.
Yeah.
I've got this one. There's
2
another
children.
pack. Just take only what you need. See?
Oh, it's that. Interesting.
You won't need that. The roots snap pretty easily.
Give it a good tug.
Just take a little off. A good twist ought to do it.
Ooh,
Like that?
Exactly.
oh. Give it a little pull and a twist, and
There's
job
more
done.
roots this way.
She really doesn't like me, huh?
She does. It's just, apart from me, the only other person she spent time with is...
Truck! On the rig!
Shit.
Loki, show me the wolf.
Kratos is able to channel his Spartan rage to transform into a wolf. Oh, shit!
You got this. I've got this.
That's his Spartan rage. So, like, Kratos' Spartan rage is Atreus turning into a wolf. Ah, it's kind of neat, actually. That's really fucking cool.
Go away.
You okay?
Feels weird when I change. Like, I'm not in control.
Do you need to be? Well, at least there's some roots down here. Grab them while we look for a way out. No knife, remember?
Oh, yeah. Guess it isn't a total loss.
Nice.
Whoa!
He's a big boy, isn't he? Oh, nice little parry. Let's go. When again, let's go. Hiya!
Okay, maybe I don't pull up roots for a little bit.
It wasn't you. Hey, looks like they opened up a path over there. Let's catch up with Yellow before more of them show up.
Okay, let's check skills. Stuff. Aim and hold R1 for longer to charge up an even stronger arrow, dealing increased damage and knockback. Perform a heavy attack finisher at the end of a light combo. Press for 4 R1 and R2, R2, R2. Oh yeah, I can do that. I like that. Hey, there she is.
But what about you, Loki? What do you feel when you change?
Just anger.
How do you unleash the wolf with that anger? Maybe you just need to find the part that will guide it?
How?
You can fight with all sorts of emotion in your heart, not just rage. If rage lets it out, another might help you stay you.
Like sadness or happiness or I don't know.
Where does this bridge go?
Hold on.
She's like, ha ha.
You enjoyed that, didn't you?
Maybe.
I mean, she was laughing, Beatrice. I think that's a definite yes.
Home again.
Yeah. Let's drop off these roots in the bucket up on the left here. Then, I've got one last thing to show you.
You okay?
Yeah, just... We should head back toward the water. This way.
Is it alright if we stick around longer? Might wanna, you know, repair some stuff.
Yes.
Oh, ads. I will pause it here for a minute. Oh, now we're ready. Lovely. Oh. But yeah, that's a little we just got a lot of lore or story dump. Trace has found the ironwood. turns out he can turn into a wolf on command now. And also, he's found out that in his future that he turns against his father. Well, not turns against his father dies, and he ends up serving Odin in Asgard. Is not good. Not good at all. Right. Anthony done. Sorry about that. Just checking my phone. Some notifications. Doop, 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 doop. Oh, okie doke. Nice. Welcome back from the everyone. We are back. And let's continue.
Are there any animals you can turn into?
Not yet. But for you, that might be a god thing and not a giant.
Oh,
Thanks for rubbing it in, though.
sorry.
Joking. Through the
There's a-
tunnel on the right, Lola. That's where we're headed.
Huh. Head in.
Not anymore.
I really like that spell.
It hides this place perfectly.
Maybe that's why I couldn't sense any other giants when Father and I visited.
Let me just grab this chest real quick. Thank you.
So, what's that soul in your knife?
The what?
There's a soul inside your knife. Did you not know that?
No? Whose soul?
You know, maybe you should keep it where it is until you figure that out.
How did... I don't just go around stealing people's souls.
I don't do that. I'm not. Maybe it's his mother's.
Yala usually takes a while to get around.
What you doing?
Keep it down.
I try to see how many bounces I can get. You want to try?
Looks easy enough. Oh.
A little help?
No, I think I got it. How about... one. Oh, you're laughing at me now.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm
You're not?
laughing at the situation.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, I might need a little help.
You'll get it. Throw it flatter. It's all about timing. When you release the rock.
All right, watch this.
Bring the wolf, Loki, but under your control.
So we did. Yeah. All right. Fine. Fine. I'll be the wolf just for you, Angaroda. Just because I like you. Cool, nice, cool, like, pelt, you know, color, both.
I've got you.
2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, nice.
I got your back.
Oh, there's more of them.
Ready.
Yep, yep, yep. Oh, I can do headshots. Here you go. Bye, bitch.
One left.
Got him.
That didn't count, by the way. My last throw.
Oh, it counts.
A Trogger came out of the water.
Excuses. We can always try again later.
We'll walk ahead under
Excuses.
that archway when we're done here.
Excuses.
Nice throw. A little too late. Nice throw. Almost there.
Wow, did you see that?
Oh, nice. Boy. Something to pick up now. Let's go. See? Skim your stones.
Where are we
Helps.
going now?
I have something for you. A gift, I guess?
Should I be scared?
No.
I don't have anything for you.
They're just like, I have no gifts. I apologize. Yeah, I want to go over here. Look at that. Oh. Think I'm missing out on this chest? Hell no. Ooh. Runestone refinement. Refined mineral from the spark of the world, where chaos and order thrive together. What now? Oh. Using a health stone or rage stone refunds one runic arrow and reduces runic summons cooldown. Oh. Oh, so if it... Okay. That might come in handy, actually. Come in handy. But once well, I'd have to upgrade it first.
Can I ask you something?
Of course.
Are we the only giants left?
Sort of. It's complicated.
I want to know.
It'll be much easier to just show you.
Well, what about my prophecy then? If it is true, what do you think I should do?
Doesn't matter. There's no changing where you end up. You can try whatever you want to avoid it, but it'll happen anyway.
You're telling me nobody has ever changed their fate? Ever?
I mean, sure, maybe some details change, but the endpoint remains the same. It's better to walk your path than to struggle against it.
Like 557 Rebirth all over again. Defy your fate. Defy destiny.
What's that?
A lift. We'll have to leave Yala for a bit.
End of the Jotnar.
Farah.
Oh,
This gift doesn't seem like something you're excited about.
Just means we're coming up to the end.
What does that mean?
You'll understand once we get there.
maybe she's realizing that she can't be with him. She can't, like, they can't stick around together for long. So
Now, time to hold up my end of the prophecy. Follow me.
oh, follow Angerboda through the canyon. Ooh, got 2,000 XP for that. Hold on, hold the phone. Hold the phone. Repeated headshots that deal additional damage. That's quite good, actually. That. Focus volley. Ooh, nice. Oh yeah, that's nice. I'll take that. Even hold R2 for longer to shoot an even bigger barrage of runic arrows upon release. Or do I do that? Oh, look. Maybe I should change the armor. No. It feels wrong of me to, like, have it as the old one now. At this point. We'll change it to Jotnar's champion garb. Actually, I think I remember Jill playing this bit when I watched her play it on launch. If I'm not mistaken.
I got your back.
Nice. Yeet. Nice. Everybody. Oh, that's a shortcut. Okay. I'm guessing we're gonna do a loop of some sort.
This way. We're coming up on the Valley of the Fallen.
What
Oh.
happened to them?
They were tired of
Oh,
living
shit.
in fear of Asgard, so they hid. Left a pile of corpses to confuse Odin, should he ever find a way into Jotunheim.
Where'd they hide?
You'll see.
Oh look, it's the giant fingers. That's where they took the mother's ashes.
I got it.
He's like, well. So much for being nice.
Oh, more marbles.
Wait, you've seen these before?
Not these, but I found a few in Midgard.
Where?
Inside your mother's murals.
but that's... There are more out there.
What are they?
Just look.
Oh, that's what they are. Marbles. Right, okay. Messages?
Yahtzee. Brother?
Hey, careful.
Oh, it's their souls. Or spirits, is it?
Aura. Giants. These belong to the Giants?
Them. That's they're hidden inside. I'm gonna say that's what's left of them.
They had a choice. They could stay in Jotunheim, waiting for Odin to find a way in to slaughter them.
They hid.
Or they could hide. My father helped whisper their souls into these. And before he died, he passed them on to me. It's within these. They found a peace.
Ooh. And we found some. One of Tracer's found some.
They're your responsibility.
Yo, Jotunheim, exactly.
Are you sure?
Well, that's what my mother saw. You're supposed to know what to do with them when the time comes.
And when's that?
I don't know.
Oh, so he's gonna release them when Ragnarok happens to repel Odin's forces, maybe?
This is a lot of responsibility.
It is. And it's all yours.
Hey, you okay?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm done. I guess. Now that I've given you those, my part in all this is over.
You could always come with me. We could fight Odin together.
If I was supposed to fight alongside you, I wouldn't disappear from your damn mural halfway through.
I understand. Well, we shouldn't break up the set. Don't you think?
Let's keep walking.
You'd be like, bye.
Huh. Tallest peak in the realms. The only other time I was in Jotunheim. I was there with my father.
You know the Giant's fingers?
I spread my mom's ashes there. Feels like ages ago. Hey.
It's actually been 6 years.
Your story doesn't have to be over.
I know. I mean, I have plans. It's just... it's over as far as the Giants are concerned. So what's that make me?
A friend?
Aww. You know, your story's...
Wait, did you feel that?
Feel what?
Help me with this. We should get back to Yala. Something feels off.
Near crows, so I'm guessing Odin's probably found them. Or Kratos has found a way in.
Angerboda, could you help? Is she okay? Oh.
Loki, what's happening?
It's okay. I can handle it. Go check on
What the
Yala.
fuck? Oh. Hey, is that a Yeti of some sort? Holy shit, dude. Oh, I don't like that. Oh. Ow.
Hey, Gavota! Where'd you go? Hello?
Up here.
Y'all okay?
Yeah, she was fine. Sorry about that.
Ooh, that was close.
So, these marbles, they're all that remains of the giants?
Not all of them. Some are just missing.
But where could they be?
Nowhere in the 9 realms, as far as anyone can tell.
So they're hidden away.
Farah! Past those rocks, there's a sinkhole. That's where we're headed. We should... Something on your mind?
Nobody believed this place was real. They're gonna be so surprised.
Loki, you can't tell anyone about Ironwood. Not even your father. The biggest thing keeping this place safe is that Odin's not looking for it. My wards can keep the wildlife at bay, but if Asgard ever came looking...
I get it. I'm sorry. I won't tell anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, Atreus. You better not tell anyone. Jesus. But knowing him, he's gonna be like, oh yeah, I went, you know, oh, like he'll go on a mad rampage and be like, oh my god, did I say something about... I say something about Ironwood, and they're like, huh?
Bye.
No.
Here's another one. So,
Classic.
Irpa, like, the pack leader?
No, that'd be Loki. She's one of the elders. Watch the sinkhole coming up. Lots of creatures in it. Used to get a lot of supplies for paint down there.
Yeah? We should run them out. Your paint supplies are important. If that's what you want to do.
Sure. Why not? Lean back.
They're the wretches from the sinkhole. It is sinkhole.
Perfect. Hey. Hey,
Killed a flower?
Oh. It's a gift.
Thanks, but you keep it. Anyway, we're looking for wretch nests. Those will give me the supplies I need.
Yeah, Atreus, how dare you kill a flower and try and give it to somebody in a gift of, as a token gesture of being nice. Rude. So rude.
It's so dark down here.
Let me fix that.
Whoa. My torches for anger, but I have magic.
A nest of them.
They're everywhere down here.
Yeah.
I've got... If we can light more torches, we'll be able to see, clear them out, and grab what I need from them.
Let's do it.
You lead, I'll light the torches. This'll help. We can see again. Huh.
We can see again. I have...
If you see any more torches, I'll light them so we can keep moving. How
Yeah.
you doing, Jim?
Ow. Well, that wasn't very nice. Oh my, that wasn't very nice.
I got this one.
Smells kind of funky. Like old water.
That's another. There must be another way to get to that.
I think we're close to another nest.
What do we do? Drunken sailor. What?
Got it. Got it.
What shall we do with a drunken sailor early in the morning?
I got this.
Hey, hey, up she rises, hey. She rises, hey. Up she rises early in the morning. Put them in the scutters with a boat spot on. He rises free.
Okay, ready.
Now to find the rest.
2. Guessing there's a torch. Oh, sorry. Guess not. Okay, back this way then.
It's so much cooler down here.
You should visit Midgard. Hard not to get lost in here, right?
What the?
I got you. Got it.
Look at how bright that is. It's just like, ow, my eyes. My eyes, it hurts.
I got another one. We can see again.
Nice. Go, Atreus. Thanks. Sorry. Again, didn't mean to escape.
Got another one. Ah, so much better. Got another one. We can see again.
Oh no. Please leave me alone. I don't like firing enemies. Okay, husband. Oh, come on. In the face. Oh, you're real. Ha! Lol.
I swear, this place didn't used to be so feisty.
I missed an area? No. It's fine. I'm just checking if I missed anything. But yeah. Oh, like
I got you. We can
not
see
yet
again.
anyway.
These nests aren't just down here. They can be up on higher paths.
Got it.
Ow. It's probably up here. Hang on. Shocker. Please.
Shouldn't be many left.
3 dens.
I have
He
an
didn't-
idea. What if you came with me? Midgard? The other realms? Anywhere.
I don't think that's a great idea. My animals need me, but It's sweet of you to offer.
Ah, so like shortcuts. Okay. Nice. I approve.
I think there's another one nearby.
That was very fucking bright.
I got this one.
So was that. Jeez. My eyes actually hurt from seeing all that purple. Runic potency. Talent taken from a progeny of the great hawk Habrok Brown with runic property. Ow. Arbauta. Up and range. I guess now we can go. Ah, so it's in here. You meant to do what I just did then.
I think that's all of them.
Thanks.
Feeling any better?
A bit. Let's head back.
Alright. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna grab that little chest. Whee. Let's head back up.
Kind of bear too long.
Someone was bound to be mad. We destroyed their nest.
We needed to.
Doesn't matter to her.
We needed to. It's like we needed to. No, you wanted to. Oh, so can we upgrade? Maybe we can upgrade Atreus' Spartan Rage now. That'd be kind of cool.
I got your back.
I'm now totally poisoned. Yeah. Nice. Let's go, baby.
You okay?
Yeah. You?
Ready to be out of here.
Yeah, don't blame me. Bow ability. Oh, we got stinging barrage. Sharpshooter stare. Oh yeah. Lock during cooldown. When a runic summon is on cooldown, greatly increase the status applied from runic arrows. Well, I can upgrade it. I think I'd rather upgrade like his Atreus' skills first. Yeah, I'd rather Atreus get skills first than then upgrade
I thought learning
stuff.
my destiny would change something, but I'm still just me. Was it like that for you?
You're always still going to be you, Loki. It's about coming to terms with it.
And you've come to terms with it?
I thought so.
Back the way we came?
Nah, head around the sinkhole. It'll be quicker.
home through the marshes.
Oh, I meant to ask you. Your mother had visions. Can all giants tell the future?
Some. In dreams.
Hey, yeah. I dreamt of Thor a while ago.
Thor.
Came true, too. He showed up at my house.
He did? Sounds kind of like a nightmare.
Yeah. Kinda.
Kinda was. You know, I didn't. Well, him and
What are those?
Kratos fought, but
Fireflies?
Are they dangerous?
you might
That's
not
adorable.
believe your eyes.
I didn't
10
know.
million fireflies lift up the wall as I fell asleep. As they fill the air, leave teardrops everywhere. You think me rude? I would just.
Perfect timing.
For what? Oh, wow.
Oh, oh, the fireflies. Whoa.
I know things have been weird in a lot of ways, but I'm glad you came here.
Me too.
It's very pretty. I will admit, it's very pretty. Guess I press circle and we go. That was a nice little moment, though.
So now that I know how to get back here, I could come back anytime I wanted, right?
When?
I don't know. After things calm down.
As in, after Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't think I'll be busy then.
The schedule's free.
Come on,
You know what I
Joel.
mean?
You can make it.
What's up here?
A shortcut.
Good girl. You can do it, Yala. I believe in you.
Let's give Yala a break.
Yeah.
I meant what I said before. You know? About your paintings. They're really good.
Are you trying to cheer me up?
Yeah. Is it working?
Ask me again and...
About damn time.
Oh shit.
Shut up. Too late to whine now.
Horse.
Now.
That's a lot of blood.
Damn it.
Who was that?
Kryla. She...
What's wrong with it?
Yes.
I can't feel anything.
There's nothing to feel. Kryla whispered its soul away.
Hello, is she like the guards to the hunt or something?
You know where she lives?
What are you gonna do?
I've buried enough wolves this winter.
Follow me.
Ooh, we're gonna fight Grilla. Be the wolf of from Gryla's crutches.
These creatures are fast!
I got that!
explode. They just explode. Yeah.
If we run into Gryla, please don't do anything drastic.
Why?
She's my grandmother.
What?
She wasn't always like this. When she learned my father wouldn't do anything to avert his fate, she changed.
I see.
Oh shit. Okay.
Looks like we'll need to find a way through.
Okay, let's go around then.
Can you see anything on the other side?
Looking.
Just when you thought it was about to end,
Thanks. Let's keep going.
we got more to do. That's what they're fucking called? Wolver? Fucking name Reen? You know what I mean? And the ghost splat. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and time for you to go splat.
Did a lot of giants live here? Over time?
You want to know about your mother?
She lived this entire life before she had me. But I don't know anything about it.
Sorry. I don't know anything about her. Your mother left the path of the giants way before I was born.
It makes sense. She's not exactly old.
Lata, go! This is Gryla's home. No lights. She may still be checking her traps, but she might have more animals inside. We have to be quick.
It's a big old door. Huh.
There's another way in, up there. We'll have to figure out how to get to it.
Okay. Follow me. Know what I'm doing, I think.
There's a way up on the other side, but I won't be able to get across.
Made a lot of noise, but
I'll create a way up there.
So, Gryla, what does she need animal souls for anyway?
She can live moments from their lives. Finally feel free. The wind in their fur as they run. Her only worries being what to hunt and where to sleep. But it's not real.
Oh.
interesting. So she'd rather be free from her fate. And live as a wolf for fleeting moments rather than Chris. That was weird. Just the game just decided to go nope.
Ryla's still out.
Wow, the things are so big. Where's the wolf?
There's a door to the cellar over here. She might keep the animals down there.
The key's already in the lock. Just gotta turn it.
Loki.
Hey, we know my future, and it doesn't involve us getting killed by your grandma.
Not how it works.
It's fine. No one will know.
Almost. Got it.
Yeah, that didn't make any noise at all. No, not a peep. Not a peep. Ugh.
I think I can hear something breathing near the back of the cellar.
Me too. I'm not hearing their voice.
Mr. Hacksilver, that's not bad.
We need to find a way back there.
Like that, you mean?
That's it.
Bad's gonna happen, right? Big snake.
I can't feel anything. Just like the other one.
She took its soul. There's not much more we can do.
Hold this.
What are you?
You didn't have a least favorite giant, did you?
What?
Never mind. This one.
No. You can't.
Your mother said I'd know what to do with these.
Yes, eventually. I just gave them to you.
I know. But they can't hide forever, right? And we can't just leave it here to die.
Are you sure?
No.
At least he was honest.
I actually don't know how to do this part.
Okay. Together, then?
Oh shit.
Vecchia.
The giants can now be roused inside that snake.
Wait! That's it? Where's it going? That even work?
I don't know. Here.
What, you're giving up already? They're your
It's
responsibility.
not that. It's It's not. I just think they're better off with you.
Loki. Are you certain?
Call me Atreus.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh shit.
Let's get back. Head up those stairs again.
I'm sorry.
We'll have to get out the same way we came in. She can't know we were here.
And we better put that cup back when we get to it.
He thinks that he's not the champion that she claims him to be. Maybe he's realizing now. He's like,
We have to close the door.
I've got it.
and pull. There we go. Yeah, we're not gonna get caught, right? No? Definitely not. Watch, they're gonna hide in the cup now, aren't they?
Enough whining. Won't even remember in a moment.
We're just going to kill him.
No, because we are going to stop her. I've avoided this for too long. She's not well.
You know, you should be thanking me. What good does a soul do anybody? It's just a vessel for pain. I damn near envy you.
Okay, the cauldron. Without it, she'll have no use for the souls. I'll distract her. You free the wolf. Then we break the cauldron.
You sure?
No. But we can't hide forever. Go.
I told you never to come back here!
That's right, look at me!
So many things I've forgotten. And you refuse to be one of them!
It doesn't have to be this way. If Ragnarok is coming, wouldn't you rather face it together?
Destiny never do for anybody. Was it your mom's destiny to go so young?
Oh, so her mother's dead.
I won't give up on you.
You brought a friend.
Loki!
Loki?
I guess we're fine here now.
Get out of my house!
Yeah, go here.
Noted.
This way.
Yeah, noted.
That's right. Run!
Up this way. There's a way back to her kitchen.
Where are you?
You sure you want to go back there?
I told you, we have to.
I can hear you.
To break that cauldron.
Over there. Gotta destroy that cauldron. Can you swing across?
Where'd you go? Hmm? You hiding? Should have stayed here. Hey! Away from that! Champion of the Jotnar, here in my humble home. Having a bit of fun before your father croaks, eh?
Don't talk about my father!
Okay, so you gotta shoot the.
You'll do well as Odin's stable boy. Shut up! I'm sure he'll make such a fine pop.
Now's your chance! Get to that cauldron!
Why are you even here? No! Get away!
That's familiar.
Gotta get off the floor.
The pitiful giants! The both of you!
There's a candle over there. Maybe she'll get stunned if I hit it.
Bean! I'm ashamed we're even related, girl!
You don't mean that. It's done. Now hit the cauldron.
Get away from me! You will not touch my cauldron!
Oh, Atreus.
Why are you so bent on hurting me like this, girl? I've done nothing to you!
You can't keep stealing souls.
They're just animals!
Yeah. That's what you keep telling yourself. They're just animals.
What did I ever do for you?
On her cauldron.
I'm fucking trying.
This is
If
all
I
I
hit those candles at the right time, it should stun her. Shoot those before they hit you. It should dispel her magic.
Leave me alone!
Ow. Oh, I don't want to die. Thank you very much.
It's done. Now hit the cauldron.
Ah, she voiced Sarah for from Jedi Fallen Order. Oh, I thought I'd recognize that voice. Whatever, Wilson.
What did you do?
I saved you.
I should have thrown you to the wolves right after I pulled you out of your mama. Get out!
Just
Get out!
no.
She's Amanda Waller from Suicide Squad. Yeah. Yeah, she's got that very iconic voice. Yeah.
You think you've done something here, granddaughter?
No, ads. I will pause. But that's cool, though. She's the same person. I thought I recognized her voice. Very, very cool. Very, very cool indeed. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Oh yeah, but we'll be back in a second. So hang tight, and then it'll be probably the last set of ads for now. So, oof. Let's just kind of take my eyes off the screen. I was kind of like I was almost like hyper focusing then during that section. Hey, Emmy. Good to see you. I was looking to stream. How's things? How was TwitchCon, by the way? I saw that you went. How was Rotterdam? I saw on your Insta you had some good fun. Max, thank you for the gifted sub to Emmy. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Enjoy the ad-free viewing and limited time emotes for a month. Good, it was fun. It was fun, but you're sick. Oh, I'm sorry to hear you're not well. Sorry to hear you're not well. Yeah, yeah. I'm glad he's found your channel. You know? Somewhere else to be apart from here, you know? But no, I'm glad you enjoyed though at the very least. All those emotes. Let's go, baby. Oh, again, appreciate it. Thank you so much for the gift sub. Have you played God of War Ragnarok? Have you played this game with me at all? Also, welcome back from the ads, everybody. Welcome back. And to be honest, I didn't think much of the event, but meeting others was definitely the best part, and you should go. Yeah, I'll try and go. I think I'll try and go next year, just to say I've gone. I think the next couple of years they're going to be in Rotterdam, so it's going to be in that same place as before. So, yeah, I think I say just say you've gone and say like if people you've met people from streaming then that you know of and or hang out with and stuff, then yeah, for sure. I think to be honest, didn't think much of the event, but yeah, meeting is best. Yeah, oh yeah, I think definitely. I think you'll find that with a lot of like conventions like that. I think it's a lot. It's more. It's not so much the event itself. It's more just meeting people you know and chat with and like streamers you look up to and stuff like that. That's sort of the main sort of thing that you get from it. You have you played it when you first got your PS5? Nice. So you know exactly what happens then.
Nothing! And no one will ever remember you! Not even Loki! You'll just be a forgotten chapter in his story!
You come in an interesting vibe.
Busy mourning his father! I see you again! You wish you died with your parents!
You sure it's alright to leave her here? What if she comes out looking for...
She used to leave me food.
What?
She'd say she didn't care about me, but sometimes I'd wake up and I'd see a loaf of bread sitting next to the fire.
Well, you're not getting that anymore.
Just the way she always used to. She's not a monster, you know? She's lost.
You wanna walk?
Yeah, so just kind of feels like a very specific convention. Yeah, yeah. And I think the US one gets a lot more love and a care and attention than the European one. It feels like
You've been gone longer than you think.
just from looking at the outside in, you know. Like it looks like you get a lot more stuff, a lot more people turn up in the American one.
Time coming. I'll be back once we reach the other side of this pass.
Well then.
You enjoying the game? Yeah,
Three.
yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Race me. Come on.
I see what you're doing.
You know you want a rematch after
and
last
I
time.
appreciate. Last time I beat you.
I'm pretty sure it was a tie.
Pretty sure it wasn't.
Yeah, I think I'm enjoying it for the most part.
So prove me wrong. 1, 2, 3, go.
Fine.
You coming or what?
Go, go, go!
Fox? Oh no, you don't.
What's the turn here? I have absolutely no idea what you're saying.
This is cool.
Always smells so amazing. I assume your nose is much better like this. Don't get too distracted. Are you really gonna let me beat you again?
I think that translates to hell now.
Only carry you so far. Whoa! Whoa! Asa, faster! We got him now.
Nice.
No, you don't.
Challenging bark. Oh.
You really made me work for it.
Work for it. He rode a magic fox the whole way.
Loki. Atreus. Thank you.
I'm sorry she was so hard on you.
Me too.
Yeah, it's a tricky one so far. It's
I suppose you're ready to get home now.
I don't know. I feel like this. I just feel like the story's not clicking with me,
Your prophecy
clicking as much as with me than compared to the first game. Maybe.
Prophecy.
I'm gonna look at that again, aren't we?
You still don't believe it, do you?
I can't. I think I'm being stupid.
I think you care for your dad so much you can't conceive of a world where you let him get hurt.
Pretty much bang on.
Come here. I need to show you something.
I don't know. Either like it's a slow burner, or I don't know. Like moments are like nice, but then it's just like, okay, go here, do this. It's like, okay, it's that and the other and whatnot, and I don't know. They just seem a little bit fleeting.
My mother's?
I wish it weren't empty, but I know how it feels to lose a parent, to lose both. Your mother may be gone, but your father, you've still got time to say goodbye.
Never did.
And I appreciate it. I do. But I don't know. We've got to be more than a bunch of stories with our endings already written. What happens to you now?
I don't know. Like I said, once you're gone, my part in this is over. So, feel free to stay.
think your part is as big as you.
Samurai edge runner Jax asked me, why is Kratos from God of War so angry? Kratos is probably mad because he needed a reliable truck like the Ford F-150 to help him move all those gods he keeps slaying. Remember, tough times call for a tough truck. Built Ford tough.
I gotta get back.
Okay.
Huh. Stars here are different.
Did you see that, Jax?
No. You just are.
Ah.
I am gonna see you again.
Sure. Okay, now. Close your eyes. And hold that tight. You don't want to lose it. Home. Think of it. Repeat it.
Home. 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 Like that?
He's back in the house.
Oh no.
Boy, 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 booey.
That was funny.
Other home. Other home. Other home. Shit!
Well, so much for all right. Roga time. Oh, all right. Oh, fuck, where'd you come from? What's this, the last season of Game of Thrones? I know, right? Imagine. The War of the North. Hey, and hey, the last season of God of War, that season.
Figure out how to save Father. And I gotta keep Ironwood and Angrboda a secret somehow. What'd I get myself into?
And the last season of Game of Thrones was terrible. So bad I didn't even watch it. Okay, so I gotta find a Mystic Gateway. Okay. Can I get home at this point? Ah!
What were you thinking?
I wanted to visit Fenrir.
For 2 days.
I...
Do not lie to me again. Why did you come here? Alone? Do you seek death?
No more than you.
Then why? Why? What is it you will not tell me?
Can't tell you.
I have tried to walk this path with you.
You've watched Game of Thrones?
But you don't believe in any of it.
And still I follow. Because all that matters is that you are safe.
But that's not all that matters. Who's keeping you safe?
I do not need you to protect me.
sure about that?
What do you know?
I can't talk about it, but I just need you to trust me. You kept secrets, but I trust you.
It's not the same.
Why not? You hid things. Mother hid things. You had good reasons, and so do I. Why can't you just...
Later.
Because back as good old Kratos boy. It's been a hot minute since we played as Kratos. I will say, I do love the Blades of Chaos. So good. I figured they'd be good against, you know, these cold undead. Probably might. Back to slow man that growl. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, hello. Oh, the Valkyries.
Not sure this is a Valkyrie we've met, lad.
How do you know?
Corporeal, but different. Looks like those bastards finally done it.
The bastard's finally done it. Don't understand.
We have beaten a Valkyrie before. We will again.
Exactly. Oh, I like this music though. This is kind of cool. Dun, 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 dun. I'm looking kind of find exactly. Flight of the Valkyries, baby.
She's in the mood to talk.
Anadis. Freya's probably it's probably Freya. Freya's probably center. What? Rage Fury replaced by Valor. Using Valor will heal rather than harm.
Focus on the enemy, not me.
Activate Valor for a short health burst. Oh, okay. Oh, but I'm about to die. That's not. Oh, for fuck's sake. No, no.
Why won't you say anything?
Come on. In Valor. Oh my god, block for crying out loud.
We're not the bad guys here.
Come shift. Oh, fuck you.
She's not messed about, is she?
No.
Father, are you okay?
Focus on the enemy, not me.
Yes, sir.
That was close.
Please, stop.
Poison! Don't touch it!
Unlock, stun locker, stun. Come on, get close to me. Bitch. Oh. It was Freya all along.
Every agony, every violation imaginable.
Atreus! You do not want this! Control your mind! Control it! She was our friend. Atreus. Atreus. Lord.
Maybe. For the moment. You're of more use to me. Alive.
And this is the ultimate battle. You got me.
Atreus. Home.
Oh, really?
You will tell the truth when I return. I must set things right.
We'll take him. Oh, Your Majesty. A pleasure to see you again.
Ragnarok.
At least you have Mimi's commentary back, that's true.
Do not let him out of your sight.
You heard him, Sunshine. Come on, get a move on.
What is it you want?
I refuse to remain bound to this realm. We travel to Vanaheim.
Well, guess it's just us then. One gateway to Vanaheim coming right up.
Choose Fury or Valor. Valor uses rage to heal rather than harm. Select Kratos' rage path at any time in the weapons menu. Wait, so I'm getting more stuff now? Oh, fuck's sake, if I'd have known, I wouldn't have... He just gets the worst, brother. What does? Oh, Brock and Sindri, yeah, probably. That's really annoying.
If you are still bound, how will you travel?
I crafted a protection ward that'll keep me from being pulled out of the realm. It should hold until I find what I need.
And what is that?
The source of the magic that binds me to Midgard. We're going to find it and destroy it.
I will help you. But it will not change what I have done.
I know. That's why I still might kill you when this is over.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, Frey's got every right to kind of try and kill him once it's over.
Ain't going nowhere without this.
But United, oh, just the rage thing.
Where would you muckspouts even be without me?
The Spartan rage. Now that there's two different paths, and I've upgraded the rage one now. If I'd have known, I wouldn't have upgraded it. I didn't think there would be an extra branch. Or for me, I guess.
And what is it you expect to need Kratos for, Highness? Clearly you've been quite capable of breaking Odin's curses on your own.
The other curses grew weak from Fimbulwinter, but I still needed help to break them. This one is held strong.
So all that trying to kill him, that's just your goddessy way of asking for help?
I don't recall asking you to come along.
It's 'cause you didn't. I got an old drinking buddy I've been meaning to look up once this joint were back on the map. Got a hunch lending you mokes a hand's gonna end me up where I'm going.
And what makes you think that?
'Cause last I heard tell, she was running with that beefwit brother of yours.
Freyr is not a part of this.
Well, my hunch says otherwise. Scroat, too.
Oh, so we might meet Freyr.
I can feel the pull of the binding curse. Its source is further in. Follow me.
Muggier than a Muspelheim shit pit out here.
And nearly as fragrant. Suppose Fimbulwinter's to blame. But if it helps these two find peace...
This is a temporary alliance, Mimir. Anything beyond that would require trust.
Oh, please. You know damn well Kratos isn't the true cause of your suffering.
You're both as much a part of my suffering as anyone.
That's gonna need more magic than we got on us.
Come on, let's find a way forward.
Okay, so I guess we go. Oh, shit. They now 10 to 10. God, it's not all the time is. God. I'm splitting headache. Oh, I think I might call it here actually. Even the height. Oh, I'll stretch. I don't have a drink. I might. Well, a little bit of water left. All out of water now. Oh, dear me. Yeah, I just feel like I'm just a little bit bleh now. So. So I'm going to call it here. I think it's a good place to stop. As much as anything. I need to download as well some of the VODs ready as well for YouTube side of things. Yeah, so I think we'll call it here. We'll call it here. But I appreciate everyone coming in and whatnot. Yeah, we battled with the mysterious Valkyrie, which was Freya, which is cool, and we did all the stuff with Freya's in Jotunheim. Not New York Times, but yeah, that's fine. But yeah, I'm just gonna call it here and stream and whatnot. And became a wolf, yes. You know, team being a wolf, that is very true. And yeah, I will catch you all in the next one, I think. So yeah. I'm gonna do some things and whatnot, and I'll see you all next time. Some more God of War Ragnarok. Until then, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.